especially when we have two guests today. One is brand new. Sarah's here, Sarah O'Brien. And then we got a return guest host today, Jason Wilson, who's just very accomplished in live streaming and in communication. So happy to have Jason and Sarah. And of course, we've got Kelle, who's here every Thursday. And we've been doing probably over 100 shows and really been able to learn as we go. And we think we get a little bit better with time, but we also know we help a lot of other people get better with time. So chat's wide open. We depend on chat to be more relevant, to really address whatever it is that you have that you need some, a sounding board or maybe some answers. And our goal is to give you as many valuable takeaways as we can today. So it does help when you share that. And even if you just share where you are, anything gets you recognition. And that's important because you don't want to be in the witness protection plan on LinkedIn, right? You want to be the best kept.
Nobody knows you, or nobody knows your name.
So our focus is on live stream strategy. And we're going to kind of focus on that, plus how you can take advantage of it. So with that, I want to turn it over to Jason. Welcome back. It's been a bit. I know Jason has a fantastic story to tell, so please take the stage, Jason.
Oh, thank you very much, Don. It's great to be back. You know, your show was actually the first live stream I had ever done. And I was a nervous wreck, but, you know, I got through it. You know, I'm a firm believer in, you know, podcasting, live streaming. You know, I haven't really done too much live streaming myself, but I mean, it's powerful. I think that the best place that you can do it is actually here on LinkedIn. I've met some incredible people through podcasting, through live streaming. So I firmly believe in it. I met Kelle here. We're getting Sarah involved with it.
Yes.
We have another live stream. I didn't tell you guys, we have another live stream through Chasing Forehand coming up. So we'll be on his show.
Oh, nice. Good.
Yeah.
Love that.
Well,
So
Jason, why don't you tell us a little background on you?
Yeah. All the exciting stuff you got going on, my friend.
Yeah, and you know, I know you're from I know you're from Atlanta. I know you moved to Columbia. That's a fascinating story. Why don't you just maybe delve into that for a sec?
Sure. That was actually, you know, a move of God. That was completely out of my plans to leave the States and come here. But I actually met my ex-wife in Atlanta, who was actually from Bogota, Colombia. And, you know, at the time, this was 2002. So there was nothing positive about Colombia in the media. It was all kidnappings, bombings, and, you know, everything that's negative that you can think of. But she said, Jason, don't worry about it. Come down, see what it's like, and you can make your decision from there if you want to stay or if you want to go back to the States. So I got here and found out it was nothing like the media said. I mean, it was safe. People were nice. And beautiful weather. The culture is beautiful as well. So I decided to stay. I've been here 20 years.
Jeez.
And I mean, it's been great.
Dang, he was 10 when he moved there, I believe.
That's well, Sarah, welcome to the show. Oh, I'm sorry, Jason. Please.
Yeah.
That's all right. So, you know, I started out.
No, go ahead.
That's okay. So I started out as an ESL English teacher for executives and corporations here in Bogota. And from there, I started a speed dating company. And I did that for 5 years. And through that, I started Circle of Friends Club. And here we are today. The original plan with Circle of Friends Club was just a way that people could expand their circle of friends outside of work. But I found out through the pandemic, the need now has to be mental health, all the trouble that's going on with mass shootings and, you know, people suffering from depression, anxiety, PTSD, and other problems. So I want to do as much as I possibly can to help people with those issues.
Love that.
Well, that's so worthwhile, and I'm so glad everybody had a chance to learn about that. And it's kind of funny when you talk about what you're talking about. This show, when it launched a couple years ago, was all about initially LinkedIn strategy. And then within a week and a half, everybody was talking about anxiety and PTSD and depression, and it turned into the hour of empower. And it attracted so many wonderful coaches and therapists and whatever. But at a certain point, there has to be an ability not only to collaborate with people, but actually go to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you want to go with people who are trying to do something, want to accomplish something, and know, or they're smart enough to know it's easier to do it with others than to try to do it yourself, and it's more fun. And, we found that the more liberating you can allow people to find their own potential, the biggest reason for them to stay with you. In this virtual world, it's not like the physical world where people want to control people. People want to, be the person instead of one of the people in the group. And it takes a go-giver type of mentality. And actually, we had Bob Berg on, who wrote The Go-Giver, wonderful gentleman. So anyways, just an aside. With that, Sarah, everybody's waiting at the edge of the seat to hear more about you and what you do and why you do it and how you see live streaming possibly playing a role.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that go-giver that you just said there, because yes, I'm gonna adopt that as a go-getter. That a go-giver is the other part, right? Well, I'm a mental health therapist by profession. And I've been doing that for 15 years. I have my own practice. I'm located outside of Richmond, Virginia. Go RVA. I love it here. It's kind of like you, Jason. People are afraid of it. They think it's dirty, scary, murders, but Richmond is an awesome place with a great culture and a lot of different things going on. I absolutely love it here. Been a lot of places and wouldn't trade it. I really like living here, so that's great. I've moved into, okay, so yeah, being a therapist in the pandemic was a lot. So I've had my private practice 8 years and was completely in person prior to March 16, 2020. And now I've been completely virtual for the last 4 years. I love therapy. I love the people I get to meet. I love learning about their lives. I love getting to see them reach that transformational change that they want to get to. But it's a lot. I'm not going to lie, for a therapist to be the vessel for all of that. So for the last year or two, I've been looking to pivot into other ways to discuss, educate, support mental health. It's not direct clinical practice all the time. And so I've got to meet some great people through some organizations, mostly on LinkedIn or virtually through other things, right? I'm comfortably in my home office and don't leave there, but get to meet people from all over the place, which is just awesome for this extrovert. And I'm actually, my experience with lives, I did one before last April with the other organization I'm a part of, Integrate Trauma Informed Network. I'm a subject matter expert over there for them and help create things. And Julie, the founder of Integrate, does LinkedIn Lives all the time. So I'm actually doing one with her later this afternoon on trauma-informed decision making. And I loved your outline there, Dawn, with all those things. It's very clear. I think I've kind of picked that up from watching Julie host and bring us in on these, and sort of we talk about the topic a little bit ahead of time and prepare some stuff. And so I've picked up on it, but you have a nice layout there of kind of how that works and how you get ready for it. And really, I just want people to know, it's not that scary because you can't see anybody, right? You're live, but I'm only looking at Jason and Kelly and Dawn, and I'm sitting in my house and my dog is on my chase soaking in the sunshine. So I'm
the bottom's still on, and
I'm there. Exactly. Right. Business on top, comfort party on the bottom. Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Right.
so this isn't that scary, right? Like, if you want to promote yourself, like,
Yeah.
live streams feel a lot like a pre-recorded podcast, like
Yeah.
it's, we don't have to be intimidated by it. Just get up and talk.
Well, you have some wonderful insights. And even though, you're just getting your feet wet, I'm so proud actually to be the first one for the first one. Right. So Jason's first one, Kelly's first one, your first one, and then it extends because the people who go on to have their own shows, because you're absolutely right. It isn't nearly as intimidating as you think, because I look at it like just the four of us. And
That's
then
right.
the audience has the ability to participate. But if all four of us get a valuable hour of knowledge share, insights, tips, that was worth it right there. Then if it spreads to the audience, there's further value. But here's the kicker. This continues to be seen way beyond this show by people you'll never meet or know. It ripples. And people who see you and you don't know they're seeing you are eventually starting to qualify you as a person. We've got Carrie here, who's here every day, tells us jokes. Omar's here. Omar is a fantastic individual. I was on his show, Zoom Party, with Leslie Flowers. Then my grandson was on the kids show with some young man from India. And, has another show, Who Is, and I've been on it, and Omar's been on this show. So LinkedIn and live stream is about being reciprocal. Right? Everybody takes a step, but nobody wants to take two steps. And I think the key is to give at least as much as you're getting, and give before you even get, because you're the one creating the cycle, and or acknowledging it's not going to happen, move on to the person who is into collaboration, being reciprocal. Carl, I call him the poster boy, even though he says at his age he doesn't think that applies anymore. Not a boy. But Carl started here 3 months ago, I think, 3 or 4, became a guest 2 months ago, fastest to getting his own show, created his instant funding show event, and it's gone to #1, created a newsletter he's doing every day. And this is really transformational, because not only is it easy on you, you're getting more performance. Live streams get 24 times the comments as organic video. And I think Sarah made a great point. There is no preparation. There is no homework. There is no editing. It is what it is. It starts, it ends, and that's all you got to do, right? If you start doing organic video, pretty soon you don't like this, you edit that, you clean that up, and pretty soon it's plain vanilla, and everybody knows it. And there's no real interaction. And how could you plan what you're going to say next 3 days ago when you haven't even heard the people before you say anything, or the people on the screen? And by recognizing Carl and Omar and Carrie, that's what people starve for. There's so many things people do well that people see and don't remark on, and I think that's when people build each other up. It gives you the confidence and it gives you the safety. And I think that's so important in these shows, because until people feel safe, they're not sharing. And they start to create personas and everything else. So how we react and how we support is how we're going to get things in return. So with all that, Kelly, I never can say enough about Kelly. There are people who are sprinters and there's marathoners. Right. And I've seen so many people come and go and then come back sometimes. But there's some people who just grab onto it because they gave up dreaming at some point in their life. They settled for wherever they were with whatever they have, and they became, in a lot of cases, comfortably uncomfortable.
That's right.
Right. But if all of a sudden you get an open field, and there's hardly anybody doing this, the numbers are in your favor, and LinkedIn is in your favor, because they need this and they need interaction for this to work, and they invest a lot in it. So anyways, quite a technical introduction, Kelly. What have you done live streaming? I want to also say Kelly has the awesome journey with Christy Howard. Everybody, that comes on, I promote what they're doing. and it's like a family. So Kelly.
Yeah, I think this is probably the longest I've ever gone before I started talking.
I know.
Yeah, so this is so exciting, but so exciting for so many reasons, because this kind of came to, well, not kind of, it did come together very last minute, which is the beauty of live streaming, truthfully. Um, and to put everything together, I say this so often. I'm like, LinkedIn in general is 6 degrees of separation from John Cohen. Because it's a fact. Like, everybody knows someone who's been on, or they've been on and gone on to other places. And I think a lot of people think, how is this going to work for me? And then the immediate thing they go to is ROI. I'm like, okay, I can respect that. You generally want to do things that you can see a return on your investment. However, I say there's a lot of those intangible returns on your investment. The connections that you make, one of them being doing the live stream to begin with. And I was scared to death too. Like, don't get me wrong. My first one, I was exactly like Jason. I was so nervous because you're worried about, let's be honest, we're worried about being judged by people, because other platforms, there's trolls and they live to cut people apart. And I thought, I'm a pretty strong chick, but I don't know that I can handle, because I've got some triggers. And I thought, if I get pulled apart, I know it's gonna poke the bear, and I'm gonna be triggered. But it's nothing like that on LinkedIn at all. I have never seen one negative comment. It's always been supportive. And it just goes to prove about how we, just as humans, what we thrive in is community. When we
Yes.
surround ourselves with people where we feel safe and supported, we're more apt to do things that we would never have tried on our own. And when we fall, it doesn't hurt as bad because people are around to help us get up. And so there's a beauty of that in live streaming, and the connections that you make. And we say this all the time, they're next level. I mean, I had, the guests we had on this week on the Awesome Journey as an example, Pete Fucelli, we're friends. Like, I mean, because you have such intimate conversation with people, it's different than just doing, you're never going to get that through an email string, people. It's just not going to happen.
That's right.
But doing this live for the first time, and then, kind of coasting through, being like, what's this live thing all about? And what is it that people are really associating to? And Donna's right. When I started doing this last year, it was really more about people and mental health. They were looking for community, and seeing the diversity of people that were showing up. And we would talk afterwards. And I was always like, man, it's because the universal language truly is just love. And that's what people were looking for, because so many people were suffering from loneliness. I think that is a huge epidemic that continues. And the Awesome Journey was created for, we're all on this awesome journey while we're on this side of the dirt, and highlighting other people and their stories and challenges. It inspires us just to be like, wow, that's hope, motivation, and inspiration to bring into the world for an hour a week. And then, meeting Jason a year ago through Don's show. That's how we connected. And then him seeing what I'm doing with the Awesome Journey. He's got a very deep passion for mental health. So we've stayed connected. And now he started through his Circle of Friends Club doing the Freedom Fight Expo, which is a monthly exposition that's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, second weekend of each month. From 11:30 to 1 p.m. And it highlights speakers, and yes, and Sarah is a brand ambassador as well. And that's how we met. And again, it's your connections and these kind of things. You never know where they're going to take you. And it is interesting how all of these things, it's like, wow, these are the things that light me up. And they just so organically came. And I really believe it's because when you come on a live, or even doing other shows, because as a marketer, of course, I believe that there's a place for produced video big time. But there's a thing about the vulnerability of people. It connects differently, and you just attract differently. And I mean, I look at my feed on LinkedIn now compared to a little over a year ago. It's so crazy different. And it's because of all the live streams, all the connections, my stream is so positive and incredible. Like I'm inspired to come to my feed every morning. Whereas previously,
Mm.
not that it was negative, but it was just sort of like, meh, I mean, not very inspiring. And now I've got all of these incredible people that are in my feed doing amazing things to help others. They're all go-givers. And that it's so lovely to be surrounded by go-givers.
Yeah.
And to finish this time around, because everybody knows I can talk, is live streaming to me makes sense for anyone's strategy because of the cost to entry is so minimal and the
Yeah.
impact is huge.
Mhm.
Um, Even though I've not done anything that's focused on specifically gaining clients, I haven't focused on marketing and business and consulting. I've gotten clients out of it because they're like, "Oh my God, I see you in my feed all the time doing these incredible things, and I thought I'd reach out and see if you were open to doing some project for us." So it does work even when you're not trying to work it, for lack of a better term. Because anyone who's watched many a times knows how I feel about the dreaded pitch slap that everybody needs to stop doing. Um, get to know people, create the relationship, and I think live stream can do that at a level that is so far beyond anything else that you could do at a cost that is far less than anything else that you can do. So I'll stop there this time around,
Well,
Don.
Kelly, you make 100 good points. If we stopped to go there, everybody would have more than their time's worth. And I think the key is it works when you work it, and you got to know best practices. You got to know how to do it. It's not just flip the switch. If you're not promoting your show, if you're not supporting afterwards, if you're not networking with the people who are commenting,
Mhm.
and if the people who are commenting aren't networking with the people on the stage or with the people in the audience, you're missing opportunities. I mean, they say there's only three things you can offer on a live stream. It's education, entertainment, or inspiration, or a combination of all three,
That's right.
right? And I think everybody, especially Sarah, made a great point. Too many people since the pandemic have been insulated, isolated, displaced, disenfranchised, and they're looking for a community. They're looking for meetups. They're looking for people that they like, know, and trust and see them every day. And Kelly's right. I couldn't do 700 of these if I didn't get excited by doing them. If I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. And I wouldn't have done it this long. And then when you see success, and not only just regular success, but transformational success. I mean, I'll give you an example. Harvey Tuck has been with us, and he's a franchisor out in England. Wonderful gentleman. Happened to show up in the audience, eventually moved to every other Friday and then every other Sunday, and worked so many great shows with Christy Howard, who works with Kelly on the Awesome Journey. 4 months ago, he got his show, and he called it the Franchise Show. He's the #1 franchise show. He's booked till August. He's got everybody in franchising coming to see him to be on the show. And Harvey's only been in franchising 10 months. But it wasn't that he was the smartest. He was the one bringing everybody together, creating the show, the format, the environment, the culture that makes it so valuable. And, if you're going to do it, why not do it right?
But I
And
think that's the great point, right, Don? Is because, showing how people are more quickly coming from here and doing their own shows, it's because, you've done 700 and something. I've done probably well over 200 at this point. You learn from everybody else who's done it before you. And I'm of that school. Hey, man, if I can align with someone who's done it, please let me, because I don't want to know how the watch works. I just want to know what time it is. And so speed me
Yes.
up and get me to the starting gate,
That's
which I think is a beautiful thing. And again, saying, because I started the Awesome Journey 3 months after my first show. Harvey started 3 months after. Carl started 2 months after. And it's kind of like, it's going to, and there's a lot of other people saying, quick, because it speeds up. And having people to reach out to support you. I have a whole group of folks that I'll reach out to, and they'll be like, hey, I just wanted to share that this worked and that I just did this with sponsorship and you need to know this person. It creates a community outside the communities, all of them. Like they all start to intertwine, but they're just such deep relationships. But ultimately, to exemplify your point, Don, was that it just helps speed your process up by having someone be your training wheels, for lack of a better term, to get you to riding the bike faster.
Mhm.
Well, and safer. Another thing is me and Kelly and Harvey have put a lot of focus on our collective best practices. So if you can get into a situation where someone says, can you follow this and do this and allow us to help you? Most people say, sure, whatever it is, I'll either learn or find somebody or find something that will get me over it. And I think that's actually where franchising comes in, is having a manual, having a best practices approach. So, let's before turning over to Jason, let me just recognize some more people. Carl says, good morning. He's got 5 LinkedIn live shows of successful funding in the digital universe. Jose Garcia, that's somebody new and somebody who's so welcome to be here today. So glad we're able to share today.
I agree with Jose's statement there. Yes, Jose, you're on it.
Yeah, you can't measure ROI by the kind of collaboration. It takes months to see tangible results, but when it happens, it snowballs. So smart there. And also, it's funny how the more successful everybody becomes, the tighter we get as a group. Right? Not everybody's decided, hey, I got it figured out. It's like, hey, no, this is what got me here. This is what could keep me going. And there is a point where you vicariously enjoy other people's success, because it says to you, if they can do it, I can do it. And if they can do it this way. And the last thing I'll add before turning over, or at least recognize more people, is the only qualification you really have to have is being a good person. You got to start with that, right? If you're not thoughtful, if you're not respectful, if you're not generous, all that other stuff will go to the salesy, scammy side real quick. And when you're a community that turns into a family, everybody looks out for each other. So the new person coming in's got to earn their stripes before someone will say, hey, we want to mix with whatever commodity we are. Love to hear, and you for opening doors for all of us so we can become more adorable. It sounds like being John Perry's here. I haven't seen you in the past, but thank you for being here, John. John comes back and says, consistency breeds credibility. Credibility breeds trust. So smart and so aligned with what we're doing here. Dennis, who's HVAC in Denver for 49 years, I think 47. Dennis corrects me. Agree, making 100 best points and you're not pointless. Also comes back with teamwork is still valuable. Dennis is typing away today. Agree, training wheels keep us on a roll. Thanks. Jose comes back with thanks. I produce a lot of live events myself in health technology, mostly in Europe. Well, we're always open to new talent, and if you're in it, drop a line and maybe we can get you on as a guest. Terrence is here. I haven't seen Terrence in a while. I know Terrence does a lot of commenting. I talked to Terrence at the early stages of what we were doing here, and so happy to see Terrence and just another wonderful gentleman. So with that, Jason, you're so aligned with a lot of what we're talking about. How does this now sound from the time you were on a year ago?
I mean, it's completely changed.
Right?
I mean, I think the vision that you had a year ago, it was something completely different. I see people all over the world now here on the chat, and I mean, that's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll turn it back to Jason. But to everybody's point, you expand your reach, right? How would I be talking to somebody in Colombia and somebody in Arizona at the same time, and everybody just had to push a button and they show up? And to Kelly's point, these things come together real fast. At least, I plan like 24 hours in advance. But when you have enough people, you can be resilient. There's all people who are willing to jump in and share, and that gives you confidence. So Jason, from LinkedIn and live streaming, what do you think the biggest challenge is?
Oh, definitely is fear. I think that fear is the biggest thing that stops anybody from doing anything, right? I had so many people come to me and ask me about live streaming, and I said that, you know, it's basically the same thing as doing a recorded version of your show. But you know, people are just terrified of the fact that there's an audience, and if you make a mistake, you can't edit it out.
Right.
But you know, like Sarah said, you know,
point.
it's just like we're in the same room together talking to each other, so there's really no reason to be nervous. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, and I think that you have to have the right mindset coming into a situation like this.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to have fun, you're going to make new connections, and possibly get clients out of doing a live stream interview.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's all positive if you take a look at it.
Amen.
Well, you know, I think to your point, you make
Yeah.
so many strong points, Jason. What I learned is the people who are participating really aren't clients in a way, they're fellow influencers, right? And what happens is they have networks, they have newsletters, they have shows.
Right.
And before you know it, everybody wants to share whatever is the best thing they have going. And to Kelly's point, because without all these people, I don't make any good points. You know, it's easy to take 80% of someone's existing point, put the topping on for 20% and say it was yours. But what I see is when you're comfortable, it makes everybody around you comfortable, right? When something isn't perfect, it allows everybody else not to feel imperfect, right? And if you meet people where they are and be humble, have humility, and realize you could be there just like them if things were a little different. And so many people are looking for a helping hand up instead of taking a helping hand down to bring somebody up. And I think when you, at the end of the day, when you know, and Kelle can attest to this, we get emails and messages from people that are so, if it wasn't for that show, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't be here today. I mean, that's as significant as it gets. And if you can save one person's life or one person's sanity for that day, and most people just need more time.
Yeah.
Right. And if you say, hey, take another night, sleep on it, wake up tomorrow, don't worry about it, that may be enough to get them through, to keep them going. And I think we're all in it together. And the better we could make other people or help other people to make themselves better, now we've got something real. And I never monetized this for 2 years. But when I saw how valuable it is, how transformative it is, and how successful we can be at bridging that gap between one side and the promised land in a lot of ways, like you're doing a disservice when you don't share it.
Right.
Right. And, you know, people
Like
should trust themselves to trust themselves. Because you can always do yesterday, tomorrow, if the new thing you did today didn't work out. And I don't even know what didn't work out means, because every time I went beyond something, I never went back to what I was comfortable with. I saw a better vision. So with that, Sarah, this is all kind of coming in fast and furious. And that was the name of the gentleman that the expedition that Kelle had on the other day.
I love it.
Not a great operation, Fast and Furious. That was not a good one.
He had some real benefit from the movie show too, because that was everybody's first thought.
Right.
So Sarah, what you thinking now?
I'm hearing you, this is where my brain goes, right? I'm hearing you use all these like trauma-informed yummy words, right? Like that's, so when we talk about community and bringing people together, right? The being authentic, building trust, being consistent, having credibility, being humble, being self-aware. Like these are all the pillars of that. And I think what you're getting, like nobody else is thinking that probably but me and my little clinical brain. And that's where it goes. But that's because I look at everything through a trauma-informed lens, because that's the way to people. I mean, I think at the end of the day, that's what I think about. Because when you mention all of those like characteristics or traits or behaviors that you're engaging in, it's almost like there's no way that other people can't be comfortable to also be authentic if that's what you're showing up and doing, right? If you're paving the way and creating a space to like make a mistake on a live stream, then then there doesn't need to be shame and blame for other people that make a mistake on a live stream, right? Or anything else. You know, when we talk about community, I don't know how you can create one if you're not authentic and vulnerable and you don't want to build trust and connection. What is the point? Then it's just like using for use, you know, like you said, Don, like pitching a thing instead of developing a relationship, which I can't stand it. You know, I'm all about relationship and the pillars the things that you said earlier of it's educational, entertaining, inspiring. I swear that's how I walk into every therapy session with a client, right? Like I want them to feel comfortable to say what they need to say in all honesty for their own work, you know, for the depths of their own issue. They don't feel safe, if they feel judged, if they don't feel comfortable, we're never going to get to the transformational change work, right? You're never going to get people that are healed and then can connect with people in a healthy way, right? So it has to start somewhere and you have to model it. And just hear everybody using these words, I'm like, oh, it's just all warm and yummy for me because it's like, this is it. These are not clinical people and we're on it, right? And I love seeing that because it's not a clinical concept. It's a people concept. You know, it's an interaction concept. It's a conversation concept. It's just how you can connect with people. And like, that's got to get out there. You know, it doesn't live in a clinical office space. It's relationship.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it spot on, and it works that way. It's not just what people want to do or think is best. It does work. You know, we always have said, you know, if you approach people with the feel, felt, found principle, right? Which is, I know how you feel. I felt exactly the same way, but I found this out.
Right.
And now I want to share it with you. It's easier to do it that way. And someone will say, oh, you're just like me then, right? You're somebody who can identify with where I am because you've already been there and you're willing to, you know, what we see on the show. And some people never intended to say certain things or bring things, but at a certain point it came up, and you know what? Everybody respected them, appreciated them, and supported them. And the worst that they thought could come out came out, and nothing bad happened. Right. And now they can go to whatever it is. You don't want to tell the same thing over and over again. And that, you know, there's a saying, a lot of people are walking up the right ladder against the wrong wall. Right. So they've just been exposed to the wrong audience, the wrong format. And then they took it personally. And a lot of times people in the past had situations that if they could go back today as who they are, they would have never had that situation.
Right. But that's part of the issue, right? Is people, I think another fear of live streaming is people are trying to be who they think that people want them to be instead of being themselves. Yeah. And that can be uncomfortable for some. And I can totally admit that. I mean, when I started doing live stream last year with you, Dawn, the first time, or, you know, getting into it to begin with, I quite frankly was having some issues of my own, of feeling not living in my purpose. And I was feeling disenfranchised by so many different things. And I really started it as a way for my own mental health, because I had to show up and be present for others. And what that does for yourself is massive. And the power of live stream, and in this, and it's hard not to put all these in there, but the Awesome Journey and Freedom Fight Expo. First one was the beginning of this month. I was messaging Jason right after the first day and being like, oh my God, dude, like that was incredible. Because the feeling that you get, even though we're just seeing each other, and to exemplify what you all kind of said this round too, you can feel when you're in a safe environment. There was one of the speakers day one, and after he heard a couple speak, he said, you know what, I'm going to be totally honest. I didn't want to show up today. Didn't want to be here. I wasn't feeling it. But he continued to go into his story. I have goosebumps just thinking about it, quite honestly. But it was so powerful because you can feel when people are supporting you, hearing you, listening, I mean, actively listening, all the things, and not sitting there waiting to respond. I feel personally what live stream has done for me as a human. One, it's allowed me to be okay with the human I am. Like I don't have
Yes,
to,
Kelly.
I
Love
don't
it.
be
That's
perfect.
great.
Yes. I mean, corporate America teaches you to be a certain way and to, you know, be okay with screwing up. And I think it's endearing, quite honestly. And I'm not saying that to give myself fluff, but I lose my train of thought halfway through a sentence sometimes. And all that does is humanize me, which is what I do think people are afraid of with live streaming because produced video, and again, I'm never going to say that there's not a place for produced video because there 100% is. I think it's powerful. I think it's incredible. But you have a message that you're trying to deliver, like it's planned. When you do live, you can't really plan it. And even to round back to Freedom Fight Expo, because it's hard not to with y'all here, I didn't have the topic planned of what I was going to talk about. I asked Jason, I'm like, do I need to have a presentation? What do I, and he's like, you can just talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Great. He's telling me the same thing, Kelly. And I'm like, okay, no, I'm definitely going to prepare something.
Yeah. You got to think about something. And I just sort of thought, I'm going to go with wherever, and this is, I'm going to go with wherever God leads me. And I did, but that's because I've been doing this long enough and I'm comfortable doing that. I don't fear not having something to say or not being able to pass a message because I've done this a whole bunch of times. And if you would have asked me to do that a year ago, I probably would have been like, ooh, I need to do a whole lot of prepping. And the difference in that, I think, is when you're prepped and you're like, I want to be sure I say this way.
Yeah.
You're thinking about how you're going to respond instead of being present with your audience. And I just think the feel overall is so different when it is a live event because you can feel it. Doesn't matter that you're across the globe from each other. Because again, even right now, and it happens all the time on the Awesome Journey, but in the Freedom Fight Expo, I mean, chills to the core constantly and feeling people. And there was even a Patsy, I love her so much. She felt like a giant warm hug and she never said a word, but you could feel her energy and her love. And so I don't know, I think there's such a deep power of live streaming that is so far beyond what people really understand. When you are authentic and real, it touches people in a way that you could never put together in a script. So I'm off my soapbox.
Well, I think the quality points you make that you learn over time.
Yeah.
And, you know, Sarah mentioned about she uses a lot of this in her everyday practice. It's because I was with Sarah Dawkins, who's a suicide prevention expert up in Spain for 8 months every Sunday. I was with Gretchen Skelka, who's another quality coach, Jenny Maxwell, Tara. I mean, all these people rubbed off on me and I rubbed off on some of them. So you become more of a mosaic of the people that put a jewel in your mosaic, let's say. And what it also creates is nuances. And so what I think of when Kelly was just speaking is people try to polish themselves up to get in front of people. And what you find is if you lean into the audience, they're the polishing wheel, right? They're the ones who are giving you feedback. They're the ones who are directing you. And after a while, it's like going on the road before you go to Broadway, right? You're going to try a bunch of improvs and a lot of comedy clubs.
That's what I'm saying.
And then you feel like, hey, this really is cool. Then you take it to the bigger stage. And the other thing is people relate to other people as people. And anytime you differentiate the people from the stage, from the people in the audience, you're doing everybody a disservice. I look at it like we just happen to be visible, but we're also one of 40 or 50 sitting together. And togetherness means so much, and family means so much. And some people haven't had the best family situations. It was kind of the luck of the draw, but now you get to create your own family relevant to your own day, but more important, relevant to your future. And the other thing is there's so many people who haven't been able to get through the gatekeeper for whatever reason, right? You can name ageism and any kind of ism. But when you become your own gatekeeper, you know, people who wouldn't have you on their show will be on your show, right? If they had a show. So, you know, what does that tell you? Is waiting for someone to invite you to do what you could do on your own and then be obligated and responsible to that person. That's not right. And what I learned even in distribution, the shortest distance between the provider and the user is where you want to be. You don't want layers, you don't want dilution, and that's where a lot of people come in is accommodation. Well, in order to be okay, I got to go along with this program, or I got to shake my head yes when I really think no. And after a while, you lose a piece of your soul every day when you do that, because you got to be inauthentic and you got to be, and it's not right. I was talking to a lady yesterday who, is an advanced age. She can't wait for a chance to get her voice back and in front of people. People all have a voice. They all have a story. They all have value.
Yes.
And people appreciate that. And we've had people from this to that. And you know what? The most challenging guests have been some of the most successful people because they come in entitled. They come in expecting everybody thinks what they have is everything they need.
Yeah.
And they've gotten beyond getting in the crowd with everybody.
And connecting. And
that's where our opportunity, right? All these big wigs, they're not going to be doing what we're doing every day because they've done that whenever they've done that. And they open the next line of succession for us. So Jason, can't wait to hear what you've got to say about everything we've had to say.
I mean, I'm in total alignment with everybody. I think that community is a huge aspect of live streaming. I think that Don, what you've done over the past couple of years is absolutely amazing. I don't know how you do it all. I mean, you have a newsletter that comes out every day, a live stream that comes out every day. I mean, I'm having enough trouble keeping up with what I've got going on. I mean, but. How do you do it, Don?
Well, that's a great question. And here's how I do it. I believe good is good enough and perfect is unattainable.
I love it.
So I do the best I can. I will tell you, I just added another newsletter. I do 2 newsletters a day. I do a poll every day. Wow. I do 3 posts every day. I do a live stream. I tag people and blah, 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 blah. I got it down to 40 minutes. Right? 10 minutes 4 times a day. Why? Because if I'm doing a daily newsletter, I just got to tell you what's happening tomorrow. Right? And tomorrow is this new guest. That's my newsletter. Right. But here's the thing. Nothing is as it seems until you get a little deeper, it gets richer because a newsletter then allows LinkedIn to email every one of your connections. You're just delivered a newsletter. 40 people may see the newsletter, 37,000 people get alerted every day. Every time you do a live stream, they alert your audience. So eventually, like Kelle said earlier, I come into people and says, I've seen this, I've seen that. I don't even know who they are. They never commented. They never reached out, but they're looking.
That's right.
80% of the people who never comment, like, post, do anything on LinkedIn are 80% of your future clients. But it's getting through the people who have their influence, who have their exposure. So it's the consistency of being seen over and over and over again. Repetition makes reputation. And the way I can do it is like brushing my teeth. I never miss a morning. When it was 9 o'clock and I was going to have a wonderful wife who supports everything and loves this show and listens to almost all of them. When you got a fan club that's already your fan club, your family, your friends, you can't lose, and anything you do, especially if you're happy, the happier you get, the happier everybody around you is going to be for you and themselves because you're taken care of, or, hey, this person's a shooting star. And when everybody said they couldn't do it, they showed they could do it. I'll just swing it back to Dennis, who says live streaming is so much better than dead streaming. Agree, Jason? Stay positive. Not a negative. Dennis, I see, not a problem. Agree we learn over time to chime and rhyme. And, I think Dennis and Carrie, Dennis is the rhymer, Carrie's the joker. Everybody brings something to the picnic. And,
Mhm.
and it's not the same, and that's what makes the picnic interesting. If everybody brought 20 potato salads,
Right.
how exciting would that picnic be?
Not very.
You never know. So Sarah, looks like you're up to bat. And
One thing that I'm also like hearing, which I like, because this is like me and all the other pieces and parts of my life, is this alignment, right? So also in my other network, we're big on value aligned professional relationships and collaborations and network, right? And I come from human-centered trauma-informed kind of stuff, but you guys are right on point. Have done your own work. You're using the terms. I love it. Love seeing it outside of the clinical space, like I said. And so, over the last like year and a half or so, I've really been trying to like hone in and focus on that. I'm a little bit of an island. I'm a single owner, small business owner practice. I work at home by myself. Like LinkedIn and then all the people I have met and now the organizations I'm part of are now my colleagues. Like these are the people I talk to, right? Like weekly when I don't see anybody else, and the only people I talk to are my clients. I find, I get feedback. I continue to learn. I pride myself on being a lifelong learner. There's no way you can know everything. I can't even know everything about the stuff I already know. It's changing all the time. I'm in healthcare. There's just new stuff, like there just has to be a willingness to learn and learn from other people. And you're going to take that in and be able to apply it best when they're value aligned relationships of whatever kind. Like even if you're working together, right? Even if you're benefiting, or you have a customer, then it's business for you. It still is going to be best served for everybody if it's valued aligned. That's how you're going to be able to stay authentic and not have to like be whatever thing to do this collaboration, and I've done that in years past. And, at the drive of perfectionism and not feeling good enough and wanting to be seen and wanting to be celebrated for my accomplishments or the things that I was doing. And instead, it almost meant like past jobs I've had, they would even tailor what I could say in a meeting because Sarah just being Sarah and the professional was like, not appropriate enough, right? Or not polished enough. But like, I don't claim to be polished. I claim to be me. And me has always been rough around the edges. So the heart of gold, so I need to find the other people with heart of gold that don't mind that I'm rough around the edges, and that you're probably lucky on this live stream I didn't say a curse word yet. Like I'm doing real good. If we've gotten through an hour-long meeting and I haven't said that. And being valued aligned and valuing people is kind of about that. And for me, it's been like totally transformative personally and professionally to have people that allow me to be myself and see me as a professional at the same time.
Well, that's great. I mean, you just get better, and it's only been 50 minutes. And look at what's happened. I know Kelly's got to leave pretty quick, but what I want to point out with what Kelle said is that you just got to get a little bit better every day, and that'll compound. When this is happening every day, it's like a buffet. Take what you want. There'll be more later. And when people don't come from scarcity, but come from abundance, that don't go from fear, but from confidence, it's a mindset shift, but then activity has to take place. Knowing, thinking, believing means nothing without application.
That's right.
Right? You're just looping, and then time is passing, and who's got the time to just let things take care of themselves? Because time waits for no one. You can't wait for time. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow.
Amen.
This is what you have to work with. Mm-hmm. And people who are in there and succeeding, but the last thing I want to say about Kelle is we've only been doing this seriously for about 8-9 months. I mean, it took a while to get our feet wet, and we literally dug in, and then we started shifting. What could happen in a year or two? Mm-hmm. This is not like we peaked. We're just at a camp site, and now we're going to pivot for another ascend. And if the mountain only gets bigger, but you only get stronger along the climb, it becomes a joy, and why not live in bliss? Why not live in the hope that, hey, I am so blessed. I am so grateful. And I think that's such an important characteristic is gratitude. Be thankful. Don't, I became more of a minimalist a while ago, and it served me in so many wonderful ways. I found out when you got more stuff has you. And, and when you have time to yourself for self-care, and I think that's an important quality. That's so important. So Kelle, you want to share last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this was so awesome. I love when things come together to last minute and so beautifully. I mean, the fact that Sarah was able to jump on last minute with us is great. And I love
I literally rushed them through my dental appointment so I could be here. I was so excited. I was like, I got to get back. Please get this done. I got to get back. I showed up 20 minutes early, hoping that they could take me.
God bless you. Oh, I don't like the dentist. It's important, but not my favorite jam. Yeah. So, I mean, this is a perfect example of what live stream leads to. I wouldn't know any of these people if it weren't for live streaming. And I do want to remind everyone, do connect with Jason and Sarah. If you aren't already, please do check out Circle of Friends and Freedom Fight Expo, because it is about where faith meets healing, to find freedom from our own struggles that we have, because freedom is not necessarily the absence of something. It is the presence of something, in my belief. And it is a powerful thing that Jason has put together and brought. And it all came to be, truthfully, the path did start on a live stream and what he does, and has brought me a connection too with Sarah. We just recently met, but I already feel like I could reach out to her and ask her anything, and she'd be like, yes, sure. And
yes, ma'am.
I mean, there's just something special about it. So this was so special for me. I mean, you guys, thank you so much. And I have a call at the top of the hour, which is why I was like, oh, I gotta go quick. But thank you everyone for joining, and thank you guys for last minute, and thank you, Don Cohen, as usual, because LinkedIn is all 6 degrees from Donald Cohen. I'm just convinced.
Well, and to Kelle's point, I would have never got a chance to meet Sarah. I would have never got reunited with Jason. And the key is trusting, spontaneity, because Kelle said, hey, how about Jason? And Jason said, how about Sarah? I'm like, let's do it. To me, it's like you set a table. There's always more room. There's always more food for people who are happy to be around the table, just to be around the table with people. And then when you started success at that level, everything else is gravy. And that's the fun of it is, and I think the point that came through so clear, not only do you get to know people, you get to feel people. Mm-hmm. And the feeling will stay. The knowledge will get stuffed away with a bunch of other knowledge that you stuffed away. But I think when you do get goosebumps, when a thought comes to the surface that says, wow, I haven't thought about my grandmother in so long, but because someone mentioned their grandmother, I'm remembering my grandmother, and you're shifting everything in your mind to create a better place for yourself and to remember the good times, all the wonderful things that have happened to you. And some people drag legacy into the future and pain, and enough's enough, give yourself some clemency. So with that said, Sarah, last words, and then I'll swing it over to Jason.
I am just excited to be here. So I would love to be back, Don. Kelle, call me up. I love connecting with people and doing collaborative projects because I'm over here as a little island. And so I like to think I'm a pretty interesting person to have a conversation with. So I'm happy to talk. I'm kind of like Kelle. I will talk all day if you let me. So I am open to that. I love the diversity of life and people and everything, and getting to know people where they are.
Well, count on an invite for sure. And I think you should start thinking about the theme of your new show.
Look at you, Don.
When you finally get a chance to do it, because you have all of the capabilities and abilities to be successful at what we're doing today. And you prove it just for jumping on and being who you are. Jason, love to hear your last words. It's been great connecting. So much has happened in a year, and I think that's why it's so important to stay connected. Jason?
Yes, absolutely. Don, thank you so much for having me back. This has been great. I would love to be back and talk more about, what we have going on at Circle of Friends Club and Freedom Fight Expo. We want to reach as many people as we possibly can, men concern, and we want to do as much as we can to help people. So I would love to be back.
Okay, and you can count on it, Jason. So love what everybody's doing. And more important, love what everybody's sharing with what they're doing and what they're getting out of it, so someone can get the same benefit without having to go through what someone had to do to learn it on their own. Learning from other people's mistakes or challenges or successes is so much more beneficial because you got a belief that they did it. It can be done. And if they can do it, maybe I can do it. If I can't do it, maybe they can help me with whatever they have to do it. And we ratchet up together. The success is unlimited because what we're talking about is unlocking the human potential, right? So many people could do more than they're doing, be more of what they want to be if given the opportunity. And too many people have been taking potluck or waiting in line that's too long and isn't very satisfying to say, hey, let's just get off onto an island in the sun together. And that's what we're trying to do here. Get away from the posts and the comments and the likes and all that phony baloney stuff and get into reality with real people in real time, having real conversations that are taking it seriously but enjoying it all the same. So it's top of the hour. I want to thank everybody for being here, especially Jason, Sarah, and Kelle, and always thanking the audience for showing up, because without you, there is no show.
Yes, thank you, audience.
And thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sarah. I can't stop thanking you, so we'll have to have you back on to continue the thank you process. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll keep thinking about you as we go forward. Take care.
Bye. Have a great day.
You too.
Take care, Don. Thank you. Appreciate you, Sarah.
You too, Jason. I'll talk soon.
All right. Yes, definitely. Take care.
You too.
All right.